When our sons were about 10 years old, I was a salesman in the life assurance industry. I was on commission only, and we were going through a period of very few sales. We'd been going through this down period for some time, and as a result we'd used up all our finances, and like many people were even overdrawn at the time. And the government at that time introduced not one, not two, but 3 consecutive exams, and anyone who wanted to remain in the industry had to pass all of these exams by a deadline as well. Anyone who failed simply no longer wouldn't be allowed to remain in the industry, be out of a job, redundant. And as we approached this final pass-by date, how can I put it? Things started to happen. The washing machine packed up, the tumble dryer stopped working, the central heating boiler refused to function, we had a car accident, and the third party refused to accept liability. And oh yes, my father died and Julia's mother died. Wasn't the best of times, as you can guess. It was a very dark time for us, and just when you think things couldn't get any worse, Thomas started waking up in the morning blind, and at that point in time they couldn't rule out a brain tumour. And it was at this very difficult time, very dark time in our lives, that I had to go to the opposite end of the country and take this fundamental exam. As the saying goes, I'm going to cut a long story short, because in the very early hours of that exam day, the very early hours of that morning, I woke up in a pitch black dark bedroom and in a hotel, and suddenly realised I couldn't remember a thing, not one thing from the whole of the course that I'd been on. My mind was a complete blank. I'm serious about that. I couldn't remember anything at all that I'd been taught from this course, and I realised the severity of that problem. That meant that I would lose my job, we'd lose the company car, the income would be affected. I'd have to start, I couldn't remain in that industry, so we'd therefore lose the house, and all these things, negative things, started to go through my mind over and over. So I thought, well, I might as well get up now in these early hours and pack my bags and go home. So in those very early hours of that morning, that's what I did. I got out of bed and I started to pack my case and prepare to go. But now I know that God neither sleeps nor slumbers. And as I was packing my case, I realised that the room had been in total darkness. But the reason I could see to pack this case was because a street lamp had actually come on outside of the bedroom and shone through the curtains, and it shone onto the bedside drawer. And that's when I remembered that there was a Bible, a Gideon's Bible, in that drawer. I was so desperate, I'd have tried anything. So I got this Bible out and I sat in the chair and I didn't know what to do. I just opened it and started reading, and I literally gradually, eventually fell asleep with this Bible on my chest. The next thing I knew, I woke up in the early hours in the morning. It was light, and the first thing I realised that all this fear that I'd had gone, and there was a peace and a calm that I hadn't obviously experienced prior to reading this Bible, and I felt confident instead of worrying and fear. There was a real belief that I could take on the challenge of the day ahead. In this brief synopsis, I haven't got time to go into details, but I'm just going to close by saying I went on to pass that exam, and that so as a result I kept my job, and somehow the problems that we had became feasible, and we managed to overcome them one by one. The third party admitted liability to the accident, and Thomas's problem turned out to be muscle related, and with exercises he overcome them. And as a result of that, we gave our life to Jesus. And that's how, looking back, we got through those times. We realise now that it was with Jesus' help. And maybe you're going through a time at the moment that's very dark. And maybe you've got problems that, just like me at that time, I thought my problems were unsurmountable. But the word tells us that Jesus is the light of the world. And where there's light, there can't be darkness. The darkness has to go. It has to go. So invite Jesus into your life, and I promise you, he won't let you down.